Hello and welcome to the node provisioning working group of the Cluster API project. We're a small loop today as a CNCF sub-project. We adhere to the CNCF code of conduct, be nice to each other, which will be great today because it's just the two of us. And having said that, here's our agenda. We have a few implementation questions for core Cluster API maintainers. Johannan, can you give a brief overview, please?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'm still working on the new kubeADM ignition provider. I have a work in progress branch that I added to the notes, the first bullet. And there is another work in progress branch in ClusterAPI. The reason we need that is because in order to import most of the CABPK logic to the new provider, we need to make at least some changes to the ClusterAPI Bootstrap module. So I'll go into details in a second. My starting point after just initial scaffolding and some boilerplate in the repository that we did, the main thing I did was to copy main.go more or less as is, just copy paste the whole file from CABPK to the new repository. One question that I have is, can we avoid copying main.go? I think the answer is no, and maybe even we don't want to avoid copying main.go because it is, after all, a completely separate or a somewhat separate provider. We decided to go the separate repo way, which means that maybe there is no strict requirement that the ignition provider keep parity with the CABPK one. I don't know. But for the moment, I copied the whole file and then resolved any Go compilation issues and already started importing things from CABPK into this new repository. So far, the only controller related file, or the only Go file that I created in the new repo is main.go. We do have some boilerplate generated by kubebuilder, but main.go is the relevant thing. And the nice thing is that so far I was able to resolve all compilation problems, which means that most likely we now have more or less all of CABPK functionality without our customizations yet imported into the new repo just through main.go, because we're importing basically everything from SGO modules from the CABPK repo. One thing that I did need to change is I had to rename or basically move the Bootstrap V1, Alpha 3, and Alpha 4 API packages from the internal path where they resided up to now under bootstrap/kubeadm/API. So basically, this directory, the Bootstrap kubeadm API one, is usually where we keep the latest API version, so V1 beta 1, I think it is now. And apparently we keep the older, like the two older versions that we keep around for backward compatibility, we put them under internal. This is how I found the repository, so I assumed that's like our sort of policy. But since we decided to go a separate, separate provider route, then we basically cannot have these modules as internal because we need to import them from a separate repository, hence the move. It's not a huge change. I did need to fix for some paths and compilation issues and some reference in related files like linters and whatever in ClusterAPI. This is not merged. This is not even a PR yet. This is just a work in progress branch, which I'm referencing from go.mod locally just on my machine right now. At some point, I'm gonna push things to the ClusterAPI repository, like the authoritative repository as a branch, but so far I've pushed things only to my fork. This is not very good because we cannot import things from my fork without renaming the import paths, because Go ties the import path to the Git repository. But so far I'm working locally, as I said, so everything is okay. I just added a replace statement in go.mod. We'll remove that and push things properly once things settle down a bit. And yeah, so far that's the only thing I needed to do. Right now I'm working on copying the manifests from CABPK to the new repository. Kubernetes manifest because I want to get to a point where the new code is running using tilt because it compiles right now in my editor, but I don't know if it functions okay. And in order to deploy it, I need the manifests. So here is the same question from before. Can we avoid copying Kubernetes manifests? I don't know. Maybe we can using something like Customize. I think Customize can reference other manifests like source manifests or base manifests by URL. I'm not sure. I think we can do that, but for now, I guess we can start with copying the manifest and maybe yeah, I'll have to see. But this is a general thing. Since we went with a separate repository, anything that is not Go code, which we can import using the Go import mechanism, we might have to copy or figure out some way to keep things dry. So yeah, this is where we're at. And one last question that I had for anyone watching the recording is kube builder scaffolding versus current structure in CABPK. So as a reminder, we started the new repository for the provider by running the default kube builder init or whatever it was, the command, and then we get a whole bunch of just boilerplate files. But the structure that we get in terms of directory structure, the Go code, the manifest, even stuff like that, it's different, probably because the current kube builder version is way different than what we used initially to generate CABPK. So my question is, how loyal should we stay to the current structure under CABPK? Do we want to more or less copy everything as is to the new repository, or should we try to sort of adhere to the current kube builder standard and sort of adapt things only when necessary, like only when they break, but not try to mimic completely like the structure and style of CABPK in the new repository? So I hope that's clear. I don't have a strong opinion there. Basically, I just want things to work. But yeah, this is something that we probably have to answer. I suspect that we want to more or less copy things from CABPK because, as far as I understand, we've abandoned Kube Builder a long time ago, and we're basically editing files manually. So we only use it probably once just to bootstrap things or to, well, initialize things. Bootstrap is an overloaded term here. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. All right. Thanks for the update. Let's see if we can get feedback from the maintainers so we can get progress on those issues. And thanks for the good work. It's amazing stuff
Sure.
to see that. I just created.
Should we look at, sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask, should we look at to-dos, but I think we're about to do that.
Yeah, I forgot it in the beginning, but so I had a new one that's basically a line on the implementation going forward.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I have one update here. Just the first to-do item, the KubeViewer development PR. I've addressed all the feedback again. This is like the third round, I think. Happy to get another review. Hopefully merge it soon. I actually need this code in order to test things because as long as this is an unmerged branch, I need to do like strange things in order to run my work in progress code. So yeah, if we can merge that soon, even if we follow up later on with more changes to the script or whatever, I'd appreciate that because it's sort of slowing me down on the new provider work at the moment.
Yeah.
That's because I'm using KubeVirt as my testbed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right. I brought up the moving the slot. I didn't get any traction with maintainers on that, so I'm just gonna take it off and work asynchronously with folks. All right. Yeah, I update the working tracks below, just basically stripped it down a little to reflect our repo, which I only added here, but not up there. So let's fix that. Okay. And yeah, Ignition version 3, I think, is just a follow-up thing after we have the initial work done. So that's Matthew is very interested in that, obviously, because it's simplified, it has better and more features for at least for Flatcar, And it's the only thing that Fedora, CoreOS, and Red Hat Core support. So should they ever want to come to Cluster API, they could just basically pick this up and go with it.
Yeah, I think it would be a nice test case for our refactoring work because ideally, if we did our work properly, it should be pretty easy to add
Yeah.
Ignition v3 support, and we could do it even in parallel to v2. We could keep both, like to have two flavors if we want. I don't know if that makes sense, but we could keep v2 around as well, just as a separate provisioner. We could also swap
Well,
two for three.
we do the same at the flat car end, so there's it's not really
Oh,
necessary. So I'm
okay.
not aware of any distro out there still using V2. We have a
Mhm.
backward compatibility mode on the nodes, so they speak V2 and they translate that to V3, but
Mm.
not even that anyone else does. So V2 is pretty much gone by now.
Okay, that's good. I guess that simplifies things.
Yeah. All right.
Cool, and I guess that also means that basically all the code that we sort of inherit, all the ignition related code that we inherit from CABPK is obsolete because it is V2, right? There is no V3 code there. So it doesn't matter too much. Like again, the main thing we're doing in the refactoring is we're making it easy to add arbitrary provisioners, but
Yeah.
the implementation details of the new provisioner, the ignition provisioner, should be V3. So for the time being, it is V2, but it doesn't matter because swapping only that part with V3 should be fairly trivial because it's
Yeah.
basically a new schema. That's it, right? I mean, and
Mhm.
maybe some new Go types. Yeah, yeah. So I don't expect that we'll need to change the design of the new provider because of V2 to V3. So
I don't
yeah,
think no, I
yeah.
don't think so.
Okay, that's good.
All
All
right.
right, I guess that's it.
That's it.
All right,
Thanks for the update and thanks for all the
thank
good
you.
work.
You too. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.